Like to become a millionaire? Apparently it's easier than you think.
Yeah, forget the flashy cars and the massive houses. Many Aussies who have 6 zeros to their names live in regular suburbs and drive second-hand cars. We hit the streets to find out if that surprises you.
No, not at all. I find a lot of people that try and appear wealthy are the ones that actually aren't wealthy. It's all just ticked up.
I know lots of people that have got property worth well over $1 million and pretty good cars, and they just have reasonably ordinary jobs.
Yes, I'd be really surprised to find that my neighbours are millionaires.
I think anyone these days who works hard and buys property and invests and makes a few smart decisions can become a millionaire. Not easy though.
No, nothing surprises me in today's world. And I've got $1 million house as well.
So how do these seemingly average people become millionaires? Let's ask the barefoot investor. Joining us from Melbourne, Scott Pape. Hi, Scott.
Good morning, guys.
OK, we need the definition of a millionaire. How exactly do you define millionaire?
Well, it's having $1 million worth of assets rather than $1 million salary. And it all goes back to a study that was done years ago by 2 academics, and they wanted to really look at how millionaires spent their money. So they went to all these ritzy suburbs, you know, the ones with the $1 million houses and the big flash cars. And when they started interviewing these so-called millionaires, what they found was that they were all show and no dough. So they didn't have any money. They looked like millionaires, but they didn't have any bucks to in the bank.
Well, they all show no dough.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So we could be living next to a millionaire and not even know it. Is that the story?
Yeah, and so when these researchers, these academics, actually went looking for the real millionaires, what they found was, lo and behold, the real millionaires were in working-class suburbs. They drove a second-hand car. They worked average jobs, but they just had the ability to sock money away. And really, so that's the story. The millionaire could be next door unless it's Kyle Sandilands. Then it's not the millionaire next door.
What's the difference in the mindset of the folks who have the rich look and the ones who live, you know, with more discreet wealth?
Well, the idea, I guess, is that these guys have a heavy reliance on savings. They want to make sure that they spend less than they earn, and then they invest the rest very conservative, like what we heard from our viewers, either in property or blue chip shares, and they hold on long term. But they don't feel a need to be tossers, to be showing how much money they have, because they've got the money in the bank.
And what do the mum and dad millionaires do differently to their more wealthy-looking counterparts, Scott?
Well, you know, it is really that big focus on saving first, making sure that you don't have to actually appear wealthy to your neighbours, making sure you've got some savings there, but investing in blue chip quality shares for the long term. A lot of them, the academics found, they didn't trade them, which trade shares, which blows apart the idea that you have to trade shares to become a millionaire. They were just long-term, decent people living in working-class suburbs. And let's be honest, if you live in a working-class suburb, it's a lot easier to keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses aren't spending mega amounts of money than it is if you're in a really rich suburb when your kids are going off to big holidays and fancy cars and those sorts of things.
And private schools. Do these methods work regardless of the GFC?
Look, they only work in any time, because the GFC really hits those people that are spending more than they earn and that don't have any bucks in the bank. This is a strategy, a long-term strategy that anybody can follow and become a millionaire.
Scott, some good advice for all of us there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.